we're live.
What's up, guys?
So what's going on, everybody? It's another episode. I believe it's episode 5, the T Kingdom Bodybuilding podcast. I got my host back, my co-host, Mr. Stephen. They were on a snowboarding trip, correct?
Skiing, yeah.
Skiing, snowboarding, skiing. And we have a very special guest in the building today, Miss Kenna, Stephen's better half, better looking. I have a ton of questions because to me, they are the epitome of a power couple, not only in business, but in fitness as well. So I have a lot of respect, a lot of admiration of these two people that's in front of me. So I personally have a lot of questions that I want to ask, and I know that you all be able to benefit from it as well. So that being said, first of all, I'm bad at doing this. So now every single time I have a guest, I try to show their social media. So let's go ahead and do that. I got hers pulled up right here.
Nice.
Make sure that you go and show her some support and follow her. She's got 9 billion followers like Steve. Unfortunately, I'm not as important as these individuals. So but I should be plugging myself.
Just follow me for free stuff.
But here's her IG. It's all like perfect and aesthetically pleasing, and man, you guys are like really photogenic. I'm really jealous. But no. In talking with Stephen, in all seriousness, I just really messed that up just now. I think I did not share the screen.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, let me do that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I totally had a brain fart just now. All right, so here we go. That's my page.
There you go.
So make sure you go follow her now. Seriously. So this is her IG. And yeah, man. Oh, your dog is adorable, by the way.
Thank you.
I freaking love your all's dog.
She's a
handful. She is a peach. Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
I mean, it looks like a teddy bear. Like it doesn't even look real. Like it's just like.
Ray, come here.
Hey, come here.
She's
chewing on the bone.
We have another one right here. Come here. Relax, you could show yourself.
So you had. Oh, that's right. You have 2, right?
I have 2. Here is the teddy bear that has grown so much.
Yeah, she's
big. Look, she's licking the microphone. There you go, sis. There's our baby.
Man. Over living the American dream. So how did you, I'm gonna kind of get right into it. So we'll kind of explain like your how you got into fitness, like from the get-go, from the jump.
Really, right out of high school, to be honest. So in 2010, I graduated high school, and I went to school for sports medicine, and I worked part-time at GNC in 2010, really up until 2018, and that's just, it started there, working in the fitness industry, and kind of got into the bodybuilding side of things probably about a year after that, I would say. So I started my.
So like what year? How many years have you been into fitness? You would say?
It will be 11 years. 11 years this year.
See, it's interesting because like for me, like it was kind of similar. I mean, I got into bodybuilding before I knew about, I guess, fitness. Like usually people get into working out and stuff, and then they kind of find their way into bodybuilding or fitness. Like me, we're not gonna get into my whole backstory, but it was kind of weird. I got into bodybuilding first, but I never thought I could be one. So I didn't even like actually like, I guess, started training like a bodybuilder or being a bodybuilder until maybe years after the fact. So was it one of those things where like you got into fitness and immediately found out about the stage, or was it like a progression?
I would say, I mean, I knew about it immediately just because I had family members that had competed bodybuilding.
Okay.
And then I had a really close friend coming out of high school that was a posing coach. His name's Chris Knight. He's from Marion, Indiana area. So I always wanted to do it. So this is like 2010, 2011, but I was probably like 90 pounds soaking wet. So there was no way it was going to happen. So from 2010 to probably 2014, I just tried to grow and do what I could. I went through a couple of coaches. Didn't work out for me too well in the beginning, just because you're still figuring it out. But I would say, I mean, I knew about bodybuilding from the get-go, the stage from the get-go, but I didn't think I could ever do it because I was so teeny tiny. I built like this, kind of, if you could imagine this on me.
Yeah, kind of like my calves. But but seriously, like, I definitely want to speak on that because I can identify about being a skinny kid, and I feel like that's something that's not really talked about a lot. I mean, you hear people who are bigger and trying to lose weight, but you very rarely hear the other side of that coin. And like, I know for me, this is the analogy that I tell people. It's like, imagine if you have a house, it's easier to take a wrecking ball and demo that house versus somebody saying, here, go build a house without any material. And that's kind of how it is, like being a skinny person trying to get. And then you have the people, well, you just need to eat. Like, you don't think that I recognize that I'm like this big. Like, you don't think that having. So you have a psychological struggle along with the physical struggle, just as most people would if they're overweight. So how did you kind of not only get past that physically but mentally? And did you have any like situations where people would kind of ridicule you for being so thin?
Probably more so in high school, just because I was so tiny. But mine was actually the opposite, if you can imagine. I was in a very toxic relationship for many years. And as I got into lifting and even growing maybe like 5 pounds, which was really nothing. I mean, I would be told I was too big. I was going to look like a man. I was ugly. I'm this, I'm that. So mine was more the opposite. It's almost like the people that I had surrounded myself wanted me to stay in that little bubble that I was in, not grow, not reach out, not do anything. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, screw that. I've always been a very independent person. I can probably tell you that. I really don't care what people say, what people think. I'm just like, teach their own, whatever. Right. Now, I guess coming forward 4.5, 5 years owning GNCs, now it's the opposite. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure everyone's happy, but in a different stance. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
So you spoke a little bit, and obviously I talk to Stephen about this all the time. How did you get into like the GNC franchise type of thing and being a business owner when it comes to that? Like, was it something that, you know, you were working at one of them, I'm assuming, and then you just kind of, you know, fell into it? Or is it something that you were very strategic about wanting to be an entrepreneur? Like, so did you grow up with that entrepreneurial mind, or like, how did that work for you?
Kind of both. So my dad is a crazy entrepreneur. I'm getting with him when it comes to the aspect of money and entrepreneurship and things like that. But I actually started working part-time going through college in 2010 at GNC, just working probably like 4 to 8 hours a week, making $7.25. So like nothing. And I worked my way up. And I found a true passion within GNC. I was studying, I have my Bachelor of Science in Sports Medicine, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. I didn't know if I wanted to do more personal training, exercise science, what I wanted to do with that degree. But then as I got into GNC and just learning that, so my first store I ever worked at was Greenfield, which is one of the stores I own now. I worked there for about a year. I moved to Kentucky, in Louisville there, and I actually worked my way up to SSM, or then team lead, regional, things like that. And then I went to a meeting in 2017, and it was a franchise and corporate meeting. So they just had us both together, and they were talking about franchising. Just like probably into 2016. Sorry, our dog's trying to get on the stove right now. She's like psychotic, so I keep looking over there. She's trying to get food.
One moment.
But anyway, I'll just keep going. Stop doing that. But so I went to a meeting and they were talking about franchising and how GNC looks for people that know the business inside and out, which is basically what we do as SSM or team lead or RSD. You have, you know, anywhere from 6 to 30 stores that you're looking over every day. So that kind of sparked my interest, and that was when I started looking into it about 2017. And I knew I needed a co-signer, because to get into franchising, you have to have a certain amount of money in the bank or a certain amount of capital, things like that. And at that point, I was just working at GNC, so I did not have that. So I had mentioned it to my dad that I really wanted to do franchising. So it took me about a year, probably about a year. So about my first store, November 13th, 2018. So what I did was I would take any store I went to. So like example, in 2017, Madison, Indiana, I ran one of those stores there, and we had a manager commit suicide in the store.
Oh, wow.
So that was like a very significant thing that happened in Madison, Indiana, a very small town, just a horrible situation. It was just personal things going on, and it just happened. It was a huge thing all over the news. Might have been too loud. Oh, it was his mic. Okay. But I thought you were just pulling the mic from me. I was like, anyway, so never mind. So I took that store on, and so I knew from that day if I could make this store positive and earnings before interest and taxes from the year before, then I could do any other store because somebody died in the store. So nobody's gonna want to come here, right? So I focused like 99.9% of my attention to that location, and I grew it in about 6 months, $53,000. And then I went to a mall location and did the same concept. So mall locations are very hard to grow because you don't have the repeat business. It's usually last minute people in the mall, or a wife is shopping, so a husband stops in.
Mhm.
You don't really have as many of the future relationships as you do a strip center or a standalone building. So then I took that store and grew it about $20,000 to $30,000 in six to 8-ish months. So I took all those documents to my dad, and this is all within about a year. And I was like, this is what I've done. This is what happened at these locations. This is where they were. I know I could do franchising, and I just know I could do it. So I applied for it. I got approved. And I just knew I needed my dad kind of in my corner at the beginning, because I didn't have the capital for it, and he does. So he was my co-signer for that. And then that was it. So no, actually, then I went to a bank. I didn't get approved. I went to another bank. I didn't get approved. I went to a third bank. I got approved for a different location, but I wanted Greenwood. Like I knew I needed to be in Greenwood for some reason. And I was living in Kentucky. So I don't really have a reason as to why I knew I needed to be in Greenwood. But then no bank would accept my loan for that specific store. And I was like, Dad, I just know that I could do it. So my dad was very generous, loaned me the cash to be able to buy this store. I paid him back, actually already for that store within 2.5 years. So now it's my 3rd year owning them, or it will be in November. So now I'm just growing from there. So kind of a mix of both there.
So let me say this for the people watching. I know a lot of people will look at the situation and kind of be like, oh, well, she's whatever because her dad helped her out. Let me like, for one business person to the other, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I want to become an entrepreneur, not just for myself, but because I want to be able to give my kids a decision of choice, right?
Oh,
I want to be able to, if my son wants to own a business, I'd rather me be able to front him the money than him having to go to an institution to be able to do it. So that's the reason why we're parents. It's because, we set our kids up for success, right? So to me, that is what, we're here for as parents, is to be able to see the dream that our kids have and to be able to influence them in a positive way, but also be resourceful enough to be able to help them as well. So I think that's really dope with your dad to help you like that in that regard. So what would you say, to somebody out there, especially being a woman, which I think is freaking awesome because there's not enough women entrepreneurs in this area, right? So if you have, a young girl who's aspiring entrepreneur and she's in this industry, what are some of the issues and maybe the problems that you could see coming up when you first get your feet wet, when you first got into your first location?
Yeah, it's probably, as in the fitness industry itself, females don't get as much respect.
Right.
So Stephen even sees that firsthand now. Men will come in, and as a general statement, now people at the stores know who I am, so I get that. But at the beginning, people just automatically come in and they're like, this little girl has no idea what she's talking about. That So they would just kind of go to an associate or go here or go there. And I would just stand back because I know here in just about 2 seconds, this associate's probably going to ask me to answer this question. And it's funny to see like the people that wouldn't want to talk to me in the beginning when they walk in, within about 2 minutes, as I open my mouth, they're like, never mind, you know, I'm like, exactly, you know, so that would probably be the first thing is, you know, become so intelligent at what you do and what you love that is people have zero reason to question any of it. So like that kind of circling back to what you said with the dad thing, my dad, I got that so much in the beginning. They're like, oh yeah, you wouldn't be anywhere without your dad. Well, fun fact, nobody would. So fun fact, you know, like, everyone has a dad. But what's funny is like, oh yeah, he bought this business and that business. My dad helped me get my first one. I paid him off before I even got my second one, and he had nothing to do with my second location. So, you know, that just shows, yeah, maybe my dad helped me get on my feet because I was 25 years old at the time and just, you know, moving into the state and didn't really know anything or anybody. So he was going to help, he helped me do that. And then since then, he has literally done nothing. And I have actually completely buying him completely out of his part of business within a 2 years time frame. So those people that are saying, oh, you're nothing without your daddy, well, guess we'll see, huh? You know, so, but you're always going to get that. It's, to me, the negativity or those types of comments is from people that are just insecure with themselves, because I've never given anybody a reason to think otherwise.
So you're older than Stephen?
Yep, by about 3 years.
Wow. All right, so hold on. We gotta get into this real quick. I think Stephen kind of told me a little bit of the story, but I don't remember him ever having game. You know what I mean? So I got to figure out how this kind of came about. Unless something changed. You know, last time I saw him, he was like this tall, right? So like he's kind of grown over the years. He doesn't have a beard. You know what I mean? So he kind of grew up on me. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, how he met you and how that whole thing took place. So I'll let him kind of narrate this since we've been talking the whole time.
Yeah. So she followed me on Instagram probably like a couple years ago, I would say. And I just always seen her stuff, but never really, I always thought she was cute. I just never really like on a, you know, cute from a Instagram page, but, you know, never really reached out or anything like that. And so one day she had posted a story saying, and yes, fellas, this is a straight up slide in story. This is a slide in those DMs type of novel. She posted a story somewhere along the context of stick to the gains, you don't need love, you know, the gym is all you need, this and that. And I swiped up and 100% emoji. Rest is history.
Yeah, I think the meme was like chase the gains, not the love or something, or, you know.
Yeah, and we that, I mean, that's how we kind of connected, because we were both in situations in our lives where we were perfectly content with being alone.
Yeah.
We were I was very happy with where I was at in life. She was very happy. We were both successful in our own ways, and we agreed to get a lift in. We were gonna work out together.
Then I bailed.
She actually canceled on me, but I was like, all right, give her one more chance, whatever. And actually, so our first day it didn't have to be in the gym. She had a good reason. She was traveling for business, so that's.
Yeah, I was coming back from Pittsburgh, and I got stuck in traffic for 2 hours. So it turned my 5-hour trip into 7 hours. I was like, the last thing I want to do is then now drive an additional hour to see more. So I was like, we'll just reschedule.
Yeah. So our first, we were supposed to meet up on a Friday, I believe, and we ended up meeting up just 2 days later on the Sunday. So it was cool. She rescheduled right away and got to her house. She bought me sushi. We ordered sushi, and then we laid on the couch, and she started like snuggle with me a little bit, which was kind of cool.
But like not in a gross, like hi, name's Kenna kind of way. We were just like sitting on the couch.
Just like kind of like this. Yeah. I think I leaned over, and somehow she had put pressure on my stomach, right? And if you know anything about sushi and pressure in your stomach, you know the little farts coming right after it. So I literally first date just
farted on me.
Farted right on me.
Like right on my
The
stomach.
first, oh my God, like what happened next?
I just kind of giggled and I think
I said, oh.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Hold on. Did you play it off like it didn't happen, or did you?
No. I always claim a fart.
he literally goes, oh.
That's like the most Midwestern white boy thing to say. Oh. You bump into somebody in the grocery store with your car. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He did, and then the rest is. But what's nice is we talked for actually about a month before we even met each other.
We did.
Okay.
Because
okay. Gotcha.
yeah, so we had like chit-chatted, FaceTime, Snapchat for about a month, and then we finally saw each other for the first time. He just came for a couple hours, then went home. There was no sleepovers in the beginning because we wanted to make sure we did it, you know, get to know each other the right way. And
Yeah.
for me, I was kind of worried in the beginning, like, because he didn't know me, like, do you want to date me for me or do you want to date me because I own GNC? So that was kind of always my worry. So I always kind of like push people off a little bit, and he was the one that hung on. So
yeah, and it's it was when she kind of touched on us talking for a month beforehand. You know, we really got to know each other on a very personal level, I feel, for those first month. I mean, we FaceTime together, we called, we were at phone conversations all the time. We would literally, there was times we would be sending a message on Instagram, have a text message from her, and also be Snapchatting at the same. So like 3 different platforms of conversation, which it was just, looking back, it's like I got nothing done in that like 3-week period.
Yes.
Because I was like, but it was fun looking back. Like we had separate conversations with each other on every platform. So it was something different.
I do get that actually. I know
it was so confusing.
It was confusing, but it was kind of cool too.
Yeah, it was nice. Like it did. Usually with anybody else, I would have been like, seriously, why are you Snapchatting and texting?
Exactly.
Me at the same time?
I get annoyed with one text message.
Yes, same. I'm like, people are blowing up my phone.
I'm like, throw this phone out the window.
All right, so here's the thing, man. So you all can kind of like maybe clear this up a little bit because I'm an old man. I don't know if he's told you, but I'm an old man. Yeah, that's fine. I've tried that before. So
Yes.
I'm single, right? And I may or may not be talking to somebody or, whatever, talking. When I mean talking, I mean actually legitimately talking.
Nice.
But if they're younger, so it's kind of like they're very adamant about texting. Me, I'm old school. It's like, because I guess me and my generation, I feel like so many things can get lost in translation when you're texting because you don't know that person.
Yeah.
You might be able to say a word. Yeah. I might say a word that can have 10 different meanings and them as well. So it's kind of like I try my best to get on the phone with somebody so they could be able to like kind of feel my mannerisms because of the way I'm saying things and etc. So it's kind of different. Sometimes it's like a language barrier, which is crazy to think. We both speak English.
That's right. That's true.
It's kind of weird in a sense. But for my mistakes in the past, go ahead. I was
gonna say you can say like 1,000 more things in a 5-minute phone call than you could 5 minutes of texting.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly. 100%.
Things get kind of twisted with words. We were big on like voice calls.
Yeah.
Even like voice videos on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just because sometimes you may say something and then they take it that you're being snobby and you're like, oh, no, I was just, they can't hear your tone.
Right.
So I totally get that.
There's no emotion in text message.
Right. So, but I mean, like this from my past experiences, like I try to tell people kind of changing gears there is it's so imperative to work on you and what you have going and somebody will be put in your path doing the same thing. Like I told this one person, I think it was my nephew actually. I was like, man, just keep doing you, keep focusing on school, keep focusing on you. And you'll go to a seminar somewhere because he's trying to get in real estate. You go to a real estate seminar, you'll see somebody cute in the second row. Y'all hit it off. And see, now you're going on the same path though as each other. So y'all kind of here. And I feel like it's kind of what happened with YouTube. And it's like, I feel so many people, their significant other, they got together by happenstance and it was maybe forced because of loneliness or whatever the case may be. And,
or they were high school sweethearts and they never knew any better.
Right. And they grew apart. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
they can't see eye to eye on things, and I don't know how many bodybuilders I've talked to. They have to like convince their wife or their husband of X, and then they get stressed out, and it's just, it doesn't work, right? It's too much of this. And it's kind of like, if you focus on your own self-development and just mastering you and just stay focused, you will meet somebody on that same path climbing next to you who you hit it off with. And I feel like you all are the epitome of that. That's the reason why I was really anxious about having you on here, because me and him talk about this all the time. Like, we'll 3-hour conversations, we'll talk about this all the time. But I want to add you to the mix to kind of speak from a female's perspective, for one, because in this, not just business, but in fitness too, like women are so, you know, objectified, and they just are looking at like little Barbie dolls, and they don't get taken seriously. And then you have the bashing from other women who might not look like you, and because they don't look like you, they think that, you know, the worst thoughts. So you have so many societal pressures as a woman, from a business standpoint and a fitness standpoint. Like, how do you all, first and foremost, have that work-life balance? And secondly, how do you deal with the negativity that you get from being a woman entrepreneur, as well as a woman who's in the fitness industry?
Okay, so which question should I even answer? So the controversy of what?
Part 1, part 2.
Yeah, so part 1, let's go with part 1. So say your first question again, that way I can make sure I answer them properly for you.
So first question is this. What does work-life balance look like to you all in your current state in your household?
That one's probably the hardest one. There's my fingernail.
Oh.
I'm scratching the couch. That one's probably the hardest one, because work is everything, and GNC has been my life for so long. Literally all of my adult life I've been in GNC. I've done nothing else. So bringing Stephen onto that was very difficult, probably in the beginning, and balancing, you know, our personal time and our alone time without phones and without associates and, you know, whatever, but customers, whatever it may be, clients. That one's the hardest point, but we make it that's the hardest part. We make it a point, basically, personally, every night we will just sit and have probably about a 10 or 15 minute conversation about how our day was, what are our favorite parts of our day, what our favorite part of each other is, and how can we pray for one another. Because we noticed in the beginning, our conversations were GNC, fitness, GNC, fitness. And like, we weren't talking, you know, we were together all the time, but we weren't getting to know each other. We weren't seeing how each other's day was, and we went through a kind of I wouldn't say rough patch, but more of like a tension patch. Cause it was like, I was coming out of prep when we met. He was going in prep for nationals. So this is during prep. I'm running 2 businesses. We just started SK. There's prep. So he's tired. There's no emotion. So we sat down, had a discussion, and like, you know, every day we need to make it a point to get to, at the end of the day, get to know each other every single day. Because even though we're together 24/7, we work together, we live together, we have dogs together, we drive together, we do everything together, right?
Like, and not like, no, sorry to interrupt, like, no joke, 24/7.
Yeah.
We're together.
So
if there is a moment in, not even in a day, but there may be a 30-minute gap during a week that we may not be together.
Yeah.
Like, maybe.
So then it was difficult to, you know, because usually if, say, you're getting to know somebody or dating someone, or in our case, engaged, almost married, you're usually able, like, they go to work, you go to work, and at the end of the day, you're like, what was the favorite part of your day? You know, how was your day? Tell me about your day. Him and I weren't able to do that. So it was difficult to kind of come home and it was still just work almost, because that's the only thing we would talk about. We would talk about if somebody came into the store, or what the associate did that day, or what I need to change at this, or what I need to move, and what's my next route. And so then it became work 24/7.
Yeah.
And although it didn't impact our relationship, it started to create more tension, because we felt like we didn't have anything to say to each other, or like we were spending all this time together, but it's not quality time because it's just at work or the gym, or, you know, you're not actually getting good quality time in. Mm-hmm. So for us personally, balancing that work and home life was simply just taking 15 minutes every evening before we go to bed,
asking each other those 3 main questions and maybe doing some reading together and then going to bed.
So, what do you think? So I get asked this question all the time. I've dated a competitor maybe one time, and I always get asked, "Do you think that it's better to date another competitor, or do you think that it's better? Well, maybe not better, but do you think it's easier to date another competitor or to date somebody who's a non-competitor?" Because I've had some people tell me that, well, dating competitors sometimes in prep they want to kill each other.
Yeah.
And I've also had some people say that dating a competitor is gone so smooth because they're understanding and they know how to, not say shit when they're irritable, like X, Y, and Z. So it's like, obviously it works for you all. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I'm leaning more towards it depends on the temperament of the other person because bodybuilding is so much is such a selfish sport. But I feel like even then, are they really gonna fully understand?
Yeah.
Can I jump in for 5 seconds and put an input on that while it's still fresh in my brain?
We already did. Might as well.
So I wouldn't necessarily focus on so much about looking for a competitor or not a competitor. I would just more so trying to find that connection with somebody. And like that, if you find that connection, like I found with Kenna, it's so real and it's so strong that it doesn't matter really what they do, whether they're a competitor or not. Like you're going to fall for that person and you each are going to be accepting of each other, whether she competes or not.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say I think it's easier that we're both competitors versus one being a competitor or one not. And that could be from, you see a lot of people that don't get it, or there's insecurities and say you're posting your update photos and they're like, why are you posting these photos? Or why and then, but what they don't get is nobody else is looking at this sexually. They're looking at it as like, wow, look at those delts. Look at that quad separation, and
I mean, I could pull up my inbox right now. I'm not going to do that, but I see it from both sides, right? This is the reason why I usually do give a disclaimer because I know why I'm posting it, right? However, due to happenstance and circumstance and people being people, you're going to have that, especially I can only imagine being a woman. But my inbox, people be saying the most reckless stuff when I post anything. You know what I mean? So even though I'm a bodybuilder and I'm looking at it as art and I'm viewing it as art, and there's a great deal of people who are as well, you're going to have the percentage of people, in my case, women, who are just going to lose their minds and say the most crazy things in my inbox, right? So I get it from their perspective, but I think what it is you have some of those people who act that way is if you have insecurities or trust issues and you bring it into your next relationship, you're not starting it on good terms. It's the reason why you need to finish the journey you're on before you start a new journey. Like you need to heal. Like, you know what I mean? So if that's going to, I tell people up front, like, yo, like, I don't just say I'm a bodybuilder. I explain what that entails because I'm not trying to waste any more of my time. I'm not getting any younger. So like they see my IG, they see all these things. If you have questions, ask them now. Like, this is the reason why I post this. This is the reason why I'm doing this. Like, I try to keep everything on the up and up and be very, very out there. Like, as far as how I move and why I move this way. And am I going to be able to add value to your life or vice versa? Because if not, then what are we doing? Type of thing.
There's no point if somebody can make you better. Yeah, absolutely. But if they're not pushing you to be better, they're not doing anything.
100%. And that's what I look. I look to you all. Like, you all are like the epitome of that because steel sharpens steel, and you all push each other. And I can already tell by talking to you, like, you're not a yes woman. Like, if his beard's looking whack, you're gonna tell him your beard's looking whack. Like, you need to comb it out.
That is something he probably had to get used to. I'm very honest.
Yeah, but I'm pretty stubborn. So it's like it's like I don't take well to it, but it's nice because she doesn't like boss me around. I don't boss her around. It's a very respectful relationship, but she speaks her mind too. Like if I'm acting like an idiot, she's gonna tell me I'm acting like an idiot.
Yeah, and see, to me, I would rather be upfront than somebody. You see so many relationships fail, And at the end of the day, if they talk about why they failed, it was something so petty and silly that they could have just communicated.
Yeah.
Like, he kept putting his socks right here. Well, did you tell him? No, because he just knows. Well, I mean, if you guys would have talked about it, maybe this wasn't gonna do it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I know I'm very OCD, I'm very clean, I'm very organized, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's no bossing around. He's going to do what he's going to do. At the end of the day, he's his own human being, and I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm my own human being, but we respect each other enough to follow each other's boundaries in a sense of, okay, I know this upsets him, so simply respect that, and vice versa, you know.
Like a small example of that at our old house. So the master had a closet in it, so that was her closet, and I used the closet in the guest bedroom. So I like to have like a couple pairs of shoes by the bed, by the dresser, because I like to have my shoes. I don't like to have to go get like 15 articles of clothing from 15 different rooms of the house, but it's not a big deal to put my shoes in the other closet. But anyway, she would always move my shoes from there to the closet, and this was like prep too, so it's kind of like, you know, prep tensions. And she finally like said, "Put your dang shoes in the closet." She goes, it's like, and to me, it's not a big deal that my shoes are right there, but she likes things to be clean. So, you know, but she communicated that. She told me that she does not like my shoes there. And so versus that being a small issue that explodes into a big one,
yeah,
I just started putting my shoes
I just simply said, I don't want your shoes sitting right there. But then we've also had to learn too, because I was single for so long and I lived alone for so long. So everything's always in the same spot all the time. You know, the forks are in this spot, you know.
Yep, I know exactly how you feel.
Yep, and there's no dishes in the sink. If there's a water spot, I'm gonna dry it. And you know, so I've had to kind of learn, and I've done a lot better too. Is like, okay, McKenna, he's cleaned his dish and he put it in the other side of the sink. Don't freak out. So now I just don't say anything. I'll just clean it.
That's the dry side of the sink.
And I'm like, there's a towel, you know. So we've just kind of had to. I think too, though, the person that you're meant to be with, those little petty, tiny things that really at the end of the day don't matter, you're going to just be like, okay, that's annoying, but whatever. You know what I mean? Like, okay, who cares, you know? So really, I think it comes down to the person as well. Like, everyone has their own, you know, what they like, what they don't like, their preferences, the way they were brought up, how they like to live. And nobody should have to change for anybody. And that's what's kind of nice with us is, you know, we may have our differences here or there, but we have one common goal and one common, you know, many commonalities, but our love for each other is, you know, is very strong and very pure. So, you know, things of that nature. We just figure it out, communicate.
So now that we got kind of, I want to start like kind of a new segment a little bit. And I'm going to ask some questions, a series of questions that might not be so serious, or they're going to be kind of on the realm of bodybuilding topics, but not really. But before I get to that, I do want to say that I admire your all's relationship like more than you'll ever know, because what you all have is something that I strive to have before I leave this earth, because I think that it's an incredible thing. And I want to let you know that I've seen so much growth in him and so much of a change in him, not just as a bodybuilder, but as a person since you all have been together. I've noticed it, and I don't see him every day, so I can tell it like a substantial difference in his happiness and him actually developing as a man. So it's really dope to see that.
Yeah, that goes back to making somebody, you know, having somebody want to be better.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely. So with this being said, this is a question of my own. I just really want to know, because I'm doing a poll right now, and could you ever see yourself dating somebody who doesn't train legs?
No, because then my quads would be bigger.
Now, is this pre-Stephen or post-Stephen?
This is both, for sure, both.
Show the quads, baby. Show the quads.
For sure, both. But I will say in the past, I have dated one person that didn't lift ever, but I was in high school, so I don't count that. But, you know, in my adult life, I've actually only dated 2 people. He's the second one. So I just like to be by myself, to be honest with you, until I had another serious relationship for a couple of years, but or semi-serious, I should say, actually. But really, I just didn't date. I didn't like to date. I just wanted to be by myself. I just worked, and that was about it. So I guess I can't say, but if preference thinking in my head, definitely, if you don't train legs, bye-bye. You know, if I could squat more than you, we have a problem.
Oh, I mean, you just that's like maybe 60% of the gym population for men. Like seriously, like nowadays, it's crazy.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I clown my best friend all the time because she dated this men's physique competitor. Nothing against men's physique, we're cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you can squat more than he can. Like that doesn't make you feel a certain type of way. And
Yeah.
she literally like thought about it. Like this is after the fact she dated him and they finished. And she's like, I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, you're right. So now she's like, she's team legs now, team quad. But no, so I totally forgot the next question I was gonna ask you, but it has something to do with cheat meals. Oh no, it didn't. No, I know what it is.
I'm like,
so over the years, my reasoning for still bodybuilding and my thought process on bodybuilding has changed. So before, obviously, it was for attention and for women, like 16. Now I understand that discipline, resilience, dedication, all these things you have to master to be able to become a good bodybuilder. The physique is a side effect, right? So, in your opinion, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from being a bodybuilder, and how does that translate to your professional life?
probably the discipline of it. You know, I do it simply because it's such an art. It's a discipline to show, you're doing probably the hardest thing, in my opinion, that you could possibly do is contouring your body a certain way, right? So a lot of people do hard things, but to me, bodybuilding, she loves the camera. And the fitness industry, bodybuilding itself is such, it takes 100% willpower, discipline, selfishness as well, because you have to, almost like isolation for a little while, to be honest with you, when you're getting into certain things. And it's that when it comes to bodybuilding and work, when I put my mind to something, Stephen can tell you, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it 100% of me is going to give it my all. And I truly believe that's where my success comes from with GNC, and hopefully within the pro card I'm so sorry. The dog is getting a little cough. GNC, and hopefully getting my pro card in bikini one day it's simply discipline. And if I could do it there, then I could do it here. Because to me, it's all in your mind is such a powerful weapon that if you could control your mind, you could truly, control and do anything.
So yeah, it's kind of piggyback off that. The older I get and the more I kind of see things in life for what it is and learning from my own mistakes, I see now that me having almost laser focus on becoming a better bodybuilder has made me a better man in a weird way. And at the ventures that I'm trying to start and what I'm trying to do. So I just want to let whoever's listening to this, if you have a girlfriend or boyfriend who thinks that bodybuilding is just a bunch of meatheads lifting weights, just know that as you're getting into the sport and you're polishing your craft, you're learning all these tangible skills that you can apply to all aspects of your life. So, but it's about understanding that a man or woman who is good at how's it go? If you're good at many things, you're the master of nothing.
Yeah, or like to even piggyback off that, think about, and this is something that we've talked about with a few people, think about a bodybuilder and how committed they are. And say in a 16-week prep, how committed they are each and every day. They eat, sleep, breathe this prep. Right. So to me, bodybuilders, in some cases, right, the people that have the right mindset, I should say, bodybuilders will make the best spouses because if we're committed and we're doing it. Right. And we're not going to stray off and we're not going to do this. Now, that obviously does not stand for everyone because not everyone has the same mind. But if to me, again, it comes back to the mind. But if somebody can commit to a bodybuilding show and prep for like road to pro, right? If they could commit to that, think what they could do with you.
Is that the dog breathing into the mic or is that on the table?
Probably. Or we have one dog breathing in a mic and one dog biting under the table.
Oh, I think I can hear both at the same time. I'm like, what is that?
Story of my life. Seriously. Did you catch what I was saying, or did we miss it?
Yeah, I did it. It's just I can hear them.
I'm sorry. We're gonna put them away now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it's a commitment thing. If somebody can commit to bodybuilding, and you know, if they put that same commitment to you, your relationship's going to be awesome. Because think how much you want to perfect your body and perfect your eating and perfect the timing and be perfect on stage, perfect the tan, perfect the haircut, everything is perfect, right? So if you give that same exact passion and love and dedication that you like to your spouse, so in my case, Stephen, that you do to the stage, it's going to be great. So for me, how I kind of balance it too is, you know, my dedication to prep is the same exact dedication I give to Stephen. It's the same dedication I give to my associates and the same dedication I give to GNC. It's a 100% of me, and my mind is with you. When you're talking to me, I'm there. So if people look at it from that standpoint, I think they'd have a little bit more successful bodybuilding couples versus someone may start straying, and then you see a mindset start to wary, and then there's a jealousy, there's immaturity, there's, you know, lashing back, this and that, lack of communication. Well, if you're not going to let your bodybuilding career fail, don't let your relationship fail.
So I just want to give a brief recap of what I've learned from you all. Just by the short time we had in the podcast, we've already been on for almost 50 minutes now. It's just crazy. It didn't feel like it, but
I'm a talker.
no, it's good, especially for this. So communication is key, right? Being communicative with your partner. And if something is on your mind, talking to them about it and not let it fester to the point of where it explodes or you explode. And also being cognizant of each other. And it sounds like something that should be so simplistic, but you know, you have two different people who are in a household, right? So you're gonna disagree. You're gonna have little things that might get on your nerves. It's just part of it, you know, relationship or work, right? But as long as you can keep the element of communication thriving and open in your relationship, then I feel like if it is meant to be, you will have a flourishing relationship.
Absolutely.
And
boundaries.
Love conquers all. I mean, that's kind of a basic statement, but
what we've learned too with the fitness industry, being a couple in the fitness industry, you have to set boundaries, not rules, because that's bossy, right? We have to set boundaries. We have to set boundaries with each other, not for each other, out of respect. So, you know, as you mentioned before, you'll post a photo and these girls will message you and message you and message you and message you. Some you may reply to before, you know, whatever, teach their own for sure. We started from the get-go boundaries that we both mutually agreed on, that if someone is speaking, you know, inappropriately to one of us, we'll just let each other know, delete it, and we won't ask any other questions and leave it alone. Because you see a lot of people nowadays that I've seen in the past anyway, that they almost thrive on that attention. That then they give what they should be giving to their spouse or their partner to these people that they don't even know, because these people just soak up this attention. So one thing Stephen and I learned from the get-go to not set boundaries in a sense of like, you can't do this and that's never going to work, right? But in a sense of like, hey, I don't like when this happens because it makes me feel a certain way. So from the get-go, we got this, you know, all that communication out of the way, to simply not care about the attention that comes with it. You know, the good attention is going to be awesome, but there's always going to be those people that want to send a naked photo or something inappropriate or say something inappropriate. And if you feed into that and thrive off that attention, you're going to fail in your personal relationship. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? So that's something that is huge with us, especially on social media and what we post and this and that we just have such a huge respect for one another that we won't let anything come in the middle of that, not even for a bit of attention from somebody on Instagram.
And you know, I think that's big because I feel like that's a huge strain on the relationship. Is I don't think it's so much as one person getting or receiving certain type of messages or pictures, but it's if that person entertains the conversation or that they are getting certain messages or pictures, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that's something that is very that needs to be
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like if you get a picture or something like that or a message, hey, like, look, this person has sent me this. I'm gonna go ahead and block them. I just want to let you know. Is keep it on the up and up, because when you start hiding stuff, it always has a way to come back. It will always come back in some type of way.
It does.
So it's like, you know,
Absolutely.
why?
Yeah. So that's that's more so what I mean by boundaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what our boundaries are. We just, if something happens, we say it, move on from it. You know, that way there's no worries, there's no questions, there's no insecurities that could arise. We all have insecurities. That's just, especially bodybuilders that pick ourselves apart day in and day out. But yeah, so
You are cut out for a little bit. Let's see if we can get you back.
Can you hear us now?
I can. It's like a little distorted. Are you all still there? Can you hear me?
Mic check.
Hello?
I can hear you, but it's like sometimes
Yeah.
it's a little distorted. It's cutting in and out, and your visual is kind of.
Oh. Is it still doing that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of rough to see on this end.
Huh. That's weird. Maybe turn
See, you guys need to move back to civilization. Like, you gotta, you need like move like to like the, you know, where do you all live again? I keep on. I've asked him like a million times.
Yeah.
You live like far out in the country, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Trafalgar.
Yeah, I've never heard of it in
Yeah.
my entire life.
Yeah. No.
We'll just have, we can cut this part out when I edit it or whatever.
We gotta switch our internet twice. Okay.
Yeah, you are like, you look like a, like manga, like Japanese animation right now. It's like all pixelated.
Is it better?
No, no.
Is it better now?
No.
It probably made it worse.
Huh. I hooked it to the hotspot. I don't know what's up, man. That's
It's fine. I don't know what's going on. If we could hear and see you just fine. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on. All right. Well, we got the visual back.
Yes.
But you're lagging a little bit. But
Really?
we'll keep pushing forward, and worst comes to worst, we'll just edit this part out. But so my next question is this. We've been talking about the great times, we've been talking about the good times, we've been talking about, you know, everything that's been done right. What is the pettiest thing that you all have argued over? You think like very petty, like it's just like.
Oh, probably the only time we've ever even really had an argument is when he was in prep.
Yeah. Pettiest thing.
Oh, we really don't argue, so that's hard.
Yeah, we might bicker a little bit about like nonsense, but not really. It's like important.
I would say the pettiest thing, like, so when I get scared, it comes across as like angry. So even like, say the dog is sick and I'm worried about her, I'll be like, would you stop? Just leave me alone. Like, so like those types of things, that's kind of petty because my fear comes across as like, I'm mad.
Do you have something under the table? All right, stop. Is that you or is it the dog?
Probably the dog. I don't know. I told you to put it in the bedroom. The dogs, that's what we argue.
You know what though? I know a lot of people who have dogs and they literally argue over the dogs all the time. Like,
yeah.
Like a lot of people.
She doesn't like my dog.
Which one is yours?
Well, I had Roxy before I met him for 3. She's 4 now, so I had her for 3 years. And she's just obnoxious sometimes. She just annoys Stephen. But yeah, maybe pettiest thing in Florida. I mean, not in Florida. We didn't argue in Florida. I would say during prep. We're trying to think back to a situation. That's actually good because we can't even think of something.
Yeah.
You might be able to think of something faster than I can.
Pettiest thing. Man, I don't know.
Oh, I guess one time during prep, the only time we even argued, we had a deeper discussion about something previously before this, and I didn't want to go to the gym and he did want to go to the gym. So he had to go because he's in prep. So I was like, you just go, I want to stay here. And he walked out the door and he was like, I love you, but I was reading some emails from work. And so I didn't hear him say that because I was just so zoned in. And I was like, as he slammed the door because he thought I didn't.
I didn't slam it. The wind caught it.
The wind caught it. So I thought he had slammed the door, and he thought I didn't say I love you back. So that was probably the pettiest thing. Because then we called each other after that.
Like, call each other in the gym parking lot. She called me. And she's like, we don't slam the door. I'm like, I didn't slam the door. You didn't say I love you. The wind caught the door.
I was like, I didn't hear you say I love you. I was doing an email,
Yeah.
So like something so stupid, like I didn't hear him say something, and then I thought he slammed the door. You know what I mean? So stupid.
Yeah, so
Which we were talking about it, and maybe we were fine in 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
that was probably the most petty thing, like something so silly that you don't even think about.
yeah.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's right at an hour.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
appreciate
mean, you're gonna be on again. Trust me.
that.
You might have to be the co-host sometimes. So
Yeah.
because I've gotten so much, even though it's only like literally like the 4th or 5th podcast. Like, how come you don't have a woman on there? How come you don't have a? I'm like, we do, like it's our 3rd guest. Like, give us a chance. You know what I mean? But
Hey,
people really want a woman's perspective.
I do have a couple questions for you before we wrap this up.
Oh snap!
Hey,
Okay.
how are you feeling? Like with prep, like how do you feel like where you're at right now? How comfortable do you feel?
I have my days. You know how it goes in prep. Sometimes you feel like dog shit, and you think you look like dog shit rather. And some days I feel like I'm gonna win the Mr. Olympia. This morning was one of those days. I felt like I was gonna win the Mr. Olympia. Last night I felt like I couldn't, win anything. You know what I mean? So it just it happens sometime. And I was at the gym. This is probably maybe Thursday of last week, and I was having one of those days I felt like crap. I'm just like, man, I really don't look good. And I had a friend of mine came up to me. We speak every now and then, but he's like, man, he's like, man, I think you're gonna do great, man. He's like, and I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. So then he left, and then he snapped me on Snapchat and said, it's not just me that thinks that. Like, there's like so many people in this gym that I talk to that say the same thing. And it just made me feel good. You know what I mean? Like, not in like an arrogant way, but just like sometimes you need to hear those things to kind of like make like it just kind of reaffirm, like, man, I got this. All right, I got this.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we get in our own head, and it just kind of detours us a little bit, and that's kind of how I am. So I mean, other than that, like everything else is kind of falling into place. I'm still trying to perfect the vacuum. It's so screw it. We're gonna keep going. I have questions. So since you're like the master of the vacuum, like when I like practice my posing, I feel like if you tell me to do a vacuum right now, it's easy. I can do it. Yeah. It's like when I was like on my story, when I was like, showing my abs, I can do it. But like when I go through my quarter turns and I do like my mandatories, I feel like I can't suck in as far as what I should. It's weird. I don't know what it is.
That is a weird feeling. There's a difference between like engaging your core. Like, we're not talking about like not the vacuum here, but when you're doing your quarter turns and you're trying to engage the core, so you almost have to tighten your core, and then you almost get your diaphragm to pull in. It's such like a weird thing.
So I'm gonna show everybody kind of what I'm talking about. But I also want to give me a second.
Oh, hey, those abs there. Just kidding.
But because I have another question for you, because I was thinking about hitting you up. I said, well, I'm gonna ask him on the podcast. So this is kind of what we're referring to. I don't even pull in that deep. I could have pulled it in a lot deeper here, but I'm just, so this is what a vacuum is. What's the piss poor version of a vacuum? But that's what I mean by like hitting a vacuum. For those of you who do not know what a vacuum is, what we're referring to. So my question is, when I first originally learned how to do it, I told you I watched that Chris Bumstead video, and he like said, breathe out all your air. Then as you suck back in, that's when you do it and you pull in. Yep. But it's like, to me, to do that method while you're posing is something different. So do you actually physically do that when you're posing, or do you just suck in? Like, how do you, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I feel like execute
Okay.
properly.
So I guess what I thought you were talking about is when you're doing like your quarter turns, from your front relaxed to your side view, like where you're standing here and you bring your like this and then engage your core. I thought you were talking about like not hitting the vacuum, but actually pulling the abs in tighter.
No, I'm talking about the actual vacuum, like right there. I don't know why, but I could have sucked it in a lot more. But like that, I could suck that in easy. But when I'm in the front relaxed, or I'm hitting a front double bicep, it's so much harder to suck it in like far. Like I don't know, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong.
So what is your process like for hitting a front double bi? Like what is your breathing process like?
Well, it's a little different because usually I'm used to crunching my abs, right?
Yeah.
So my breathing's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like now, do you hold your breath when you hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what I do, if I'm setting up for the front double bi, I like breathe out and go, and then breathe in.
Okay.
But then close my mouth so it's.
And then you suck. Okay. Because I'm trying to breathe and like hold it in. Same. I'm like, how do I do this shit? Like it's like impossible.
Yeah, just breathe everything out so you'll.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's a very weird concept. It's one thing being able to do the vacuum, but then able to incorporate it into your posing.
Yeah,
and that's where practice comes in at play.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm gonna keep working on it. But that's like the main thing I'm really trying to do because I'm trying to. I got my music done for my posing routine. It's gonna be stupid. And I'm starting a choreography.
Original remix.
Oh, it's gonna be dope, man. I'll have to send it to you so you can hear it. It's really it's not what you think it's gonna be either.
No, I kind of know your style.
I guarantee you it's gonna be different what you think it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I can almost bet you you're gonna be like, damn, I didn't think you would do that. To that
we're
song.
excited to come watch you.
Yeah, we're pumped.
It's gonna be pretty cool. But I'm really trying to emphasize posing this year because that's something that a lot of people are not emphasizing enough time or effort or practice into.
Nobody gets creative anymore.
Yeah, it really doesn't, man. That's a whole nother story, man. It's a whole nother topic. But other than that, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I have my days, like I said, but other than that, I think I'm doing fairly well. So it's going to be interesting this year. I think that, it's like Stephen said, if I can, bring my most conditioned package, I have enough size to be able to be competitive in classic for sure. I mean, I'll be in class A. You know what I'm saying?
You'll do great.
Class A too, right? Obviously.
Yeah. You're gonna be the biggest dude on stage by far. It's if you can get shredded, you'll win your pro card this year. Like no joke.
Yeah, I definitely need to. So that's the goal, right? So I came in 165 at the Kentucky Muscle. That was my best look to date. And I'm projecting, and I'm a little heavier than them too, but I'm still projecting maybe 162, 160. I want to be inside out.
So, yeah.
It's going to be good, dude.
You're going to crush it.
We'll see what's going to happen. But anyway, thank you for joining Steve and I today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So we'll have to do it again for sure. We'll put it together. I'll link up with him. We'll get another time and stuff like that. And I'm going to start doing more segments. We'll start doing more segments. I'm going to start posting on my social media ahead of time. And like if people have questions or things they want to hear or questions that they want us to answer, then we have a little bit more material to go off of the second half of the podcast. And we can just do questions, and whoever we have on, we can just answer those questions with that person.
For sure.
But anyway, you guys have a great night. Appreciate it again.
It's been a pleasure.
You do. Keep crushing that prep.
Got to. And like I always say, make your next move your best move and transcend your kingdom and we're out. Thanks, guys. Take care. All right. Another episode in the book, episode 5 of the Transcend Kingdom podcast. Thanks so much for viewing in. Stay tuned for the latest and greatest updates. If you haven't already, subscribe and click the bell for notifications for next videos. But until next time, holla. Peace.